Hi guys, Tungsten here. So it looks like the listing for the age is now up. Right, so I plan to go through the listing, and I understand that there is a video link over here whereby you can watch and find out even more about the age itself, but this is in Mandarin. So what I'm thinking of is I'll go through the listing and I'll leave the video towards the end, and I'll do sort of like do a effect of the video itself. It's going to be a very long video, so after looking through the listing, if you want to follow me and do an effect of the video, you can stay on. But let's just go through the listing itself first. Now, although here it looks like it is a kind of a red, a blue kind of setup, but this is not the actual color. There's also this orange, but it is not the actual color. How I wish that they do offer this kind of color, but unfortunately, looking through the listing, it only have a black and kind of a brown kind of color itself. So it is not the not what is shown in this picture itself, right? So over here, just a few pictures. As you can see, I can see that at the back there is actually I believe this is the China flag. The designer of the blaster is from China. So yeah. Okay, so over here there is also two version. I believe this is called the standard edition, and then there is a kind of more edition that includes more items, but we'll go through what are the included item later on. But that's about it. There's a standard edition and there's a slightly kind of edition that includes a lot more items. Now if you look through the rest, this is basically the charger itself, and interestingly, so it actually comes with their own kind of battery itself over here, but I believe you can kind of charge it with your kind of 3S kind of charger that you use. They do come with an adapter if I'm not wrong. So this battery itself is the standard. This is the so-called the extended version. So if you put it in the extended version, it's going to protrude a little bit out from this place over here, right? Okay, so other than that, there is the magazine itself. The magazine itself is specially designed for this blaster. So chances are you cannot use other design, because from my understanding there is a design in front whereby it is required such that it can have a kind of a mechanism whereby if you do not have any darts anymore, and the prime will stay at the back. Okay, we call it the Kongua. Okay, see kind of design, and then this flap over here is actually kind of spring loaded, so you can open and close with a spring. It's a little bit like the Dart Zone Mark III, the piston, okay, whereby the flap is kind of with a spring. Right, so this is the holster itself. Okay, the holster design pretty interesting. The front is actually kind of open, whereby I believe if you put some additional barrel, then it will not be obstructed. So kind of interesting. And this is to kind of a stripe to place it on your leg, so that you can actually put the holster, and then of course you can put the kind of the blaster itself. Okay, so these are darts, so not much to it. So again, it uses its own kind of design of the battery itself. To me, I don't I prefer that if you can use kind of standard 3S LiPo. This will just increase another cost. Kind of you can't reuse any of your existing blaster itself. Then of course you do have to invest in the magazine system again for this blaster. Yeah, a give and take, but I can tell you after I watched the video, this thing is a beast. Okay, right, so let's just take a look at the listing itself. Okay, so of course it talks a little bit about the system, the age itself. Of course everybody is waiting for it. Okay, and then of course this is over here it says 半自动, that means it's a semi-auto, so it's not a full auto, so you do need to kind of put a trigger, okay, to every time. Actually it's pretty good in my opinion. I like semi-auto stuff nowadays. Okay, All right. Okay. So there are actually two videos. Okay, I only watched the first one. Yep. So let's go on. All right. So the next is basically about the pricing itself. Okay. So this China dollars. So you do have to kind of divide it or convert it to your currency of your choice. I'm from Singapore, so it's basically in terms of FGD itself. Right, so if we talk about the most basic, it's just the blaster itself is 699. Of course, you probably not going to get this for the first time round. You probably want to get at least with the magazine and the battery itself. Okay, so the basic with the magazine, one magazine and one standard battery is 788. And if we were to include, okay, if the one with more item, what is it? Basically is 968. You have two magazine. If I is this, yeah, I think it is two magazine, one standard battery and one extended battery. All right, okay. The standard battery costs 68. Let me see. The extended one, the longer one, is 148. Right. So again, these are all in Chinese dollars. Okay, so you do have to convert it into your own currency. Yep. Magazine itself 39. So it's about $8 if it's SGD. So again, this one is about 100 plus. Yeah. All right. All right. So officially available May 8. So it's already available. Over at their China site. Okay, and yeah, all right, so let's look at some pictures. Again, this is not the color scheme, it's only black or brown. Okay, and let's go on. Okay, it's about 800 gram. Okay, not too interesting. Okay, now this one, right, it says it have upgraded parts, but the upgraded parts you have to purchase separately. So all this CNC stuff, all this you have to purchase separately, if I were to read it correctly. So the standard edition is just the standard edition, right? Okay, so let me see now. Again, I think we have went through some of it in the previous video itself. So this is kind of the prime itself, the magazine release. Again, like I said, the magazine itself, there is a design at the front over here whereby you require this to be able to have the kind of system whereby it detect that your blaster do not have any darts in the blaster anymore after firing. And the flap, like I said, that is spring loaded over here, right? Okay, all right, so we have went through before. This is the one that you press, you will extend the kind of stock, and the stock itself doesn't have kind of a preset distance. It's just one distance and that's it, right? From my understanding. All right, next, not much that we have not seen before. I do want to point out an interesting thing about the trigger itself. This picture is not that clear. Okay, maybe this picture is clearer. You'll notice that there is this thing protruding here. What is that? That's actually the safety of the trigger. As you can see, if you're not pressing it down, it actually kind of spring outward, and then there is a kind of this will be kind of preventing a pull of a trigger, right? That means it will not accidentally being kind of triggered. Okay, if we put our finger over naturally, and this thing will be collapsed, and you can go ahead and pull the trigger. So this design, I've not seen it anywhere. I believe this is the first time I've seen it on a kind of a foam blaster. I think it's a good design, kind of you do not need to push any button or whatnot. It's just a very natural kind of thing. You put your finger there, it is unlocked. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a great design. Okay, how I wish it have the full orange color. Now I do not know whether I can kind of purchase this or not. Anyway, okay, so I think this is more or less the listing and what they are offering. It's just a very basic kind of standard edition, and basically what the other edition is just you have additional magazine, you have an extended battery. That's more about it, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do next is basically I want to go through the video. I think there are a lot more information there, so if you would like to stay, it's a long video, but let's go through it. Alright, so let's just go through the video that I found. The video is very long, so I actually chop it up, and there I can't on the so-called the music, the sound, because there's some music at the background. So but let's go ahead and see what is it. So over here, this is the box itself. Now when the person explained, when the actual things arrive, it will have a foam kind of for the blaster to be placed in, so it's not going to be empty like this, rather it is going to have a foam. Now like I say, I chop off the unnecessary portion. This is a top rail, but this top rail is actually not included in the so-called basic purchase. So take note, the top rail is actually additional, you have to get it yourself. So he's explaining that portion of it. Now the basic kind of blaster sail, it came with a few kind of configuration, like I mentioned on the 699. Doesn't include the battery itself. Now this blaster actually can operate without the battery, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So even without the battery, you can actually prime and load and then fire off, just like the Springer itself. So that is something I find interesting. So you can see that this is the battery compartment. They have the so-called their own battery that you have to get. So the basic setup is this one, the small version of the battery. This one is the so-called one with higher cap kind of MHA, so that it will last longer, and it seems to suggest that the so-called extended kind of battery will have an increase in the slide performance. That's what I get from the video itself. Yep, so you do have to buy their proprietary battery, so the long one will have a little bit extended out, as you can see in the video itself. Yeah, so the next thing is normally when we kind of place the battery in the blaster itself, if we were to make a mistake and leave it overnight, it actually will kind of drain your battery, and your battery is as good as useless, right? So he's talking about this blaster itself actually have a system, a safeguard system, whereby it will try to consume as little energy as possible. If you so happen to leave your battery in the blaster, at least it might not kind of drain it all the way. However, definitely suggested that you should never place the battery in kind of the blaster if you are not using it. So there's just some warning that they talk about. Yeah. So let's just move on to see what else. Again, I kind of chopped the video up into kind of those portion that I think is more interesting. So let's see what else. Okay, maybe we'll fast forward a little bit. Okay, see what's next. Let's see. Okay, now we talk about the magazine itself. You can see that the magazine itself, okay, maybe I'll reverse a little bit. Okay, you can see, yep, the flap. Okay, you can see that this is the flap is actually kind of spring loaded. Okay, so it actually grabs the dart itself, but when the kind of the pusher push through, this will expand, and then it seems to suggest that the kind of the loading of the dart is kind of improved because of the design itself, and of course the magazine itself is a proprietary one. It does have a little bit of wiggling space, but he said it's acceptable. Okay, look at the video, it seems to be spring loaded as well, whereby it will kind of eject out. Okay, yeah, over here you can see that there is a little bit of a wiggling, but it is not going to affect the blaster that much. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, let's see whether okay, so this is explaining the extension of the stock. It was suggested, of course, is to push it down rather than kind of push it against inwards. So you push down. Now there is only one position, it's either extended or collapse.
Okay, there's no intermediate kind of position for the user. Okay, so it's either just extended or you just push all the way back. Right, so these are just the basic setting itself. Yeah, so that's about the stock. Okay, so now let's move on. Okay, so the magazine itself, I believe it's 15. However, there's some marking on the magazine, so I don't know whether you have seen it. So just now, basically, let me just maybe reverse it a little bit. Okay, so there is marking to indicate whether it is, you loaded 5 or 10, I think. A few markings. Okay, so you don't need to utilize the entire capacity. If you don't want to, you can load 10, and there is a indicator. I thought that was a good touch. Right. Okay, so other than that, let's take a look. Other than that, of course, like I said, this blaster, you can actually use it without the battery itself. You can actually prime it and load a dart and load it, and you can actually fire it off. Right. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. All right. Next, okay, now the trigger, as you can see over here, I think that will be a close-up. Hopefully there will be close-up. So it says careful of the dry fire. Okay, hopefully you probably want to prevent kind of don't dry fire a lot. You're gonna harm the blaster. Yeah. Okay, let me see whether they talk about the trigger. I may have missed it. Okay. Let's see whether. Okay, let's see whether. Okay, maybe I speed up. Let's see. Nah, okay, did not. Okay, I wanted to see whether it shows the trigger. I think some point in time in the video it did talk about the safety and the trigger. So the safety is designed in such a way whereby if you are not here we go. Okay, so let's take a closer look. Okay, yep. Okay, this is a good pause over here. So if you can see, this is the safety itself. So if you are not touching the trigger, this actually prevent kind of the trigger to be pulled, right? So yeah, so in order to pull the trigger, okay, you just need to place your finger on and then press it together. It's a soft touch and kind of and you can pull it. So I have not seen it on a foam blaster, but this is, I think, a design that exists before in other kind of blaster itself, not a foam blaster. Yeah, so this, I think, is the first time I see it. Yeah, which I think is pretty cool. Right, so it does come with the sights. Okay, and of course you do need to, like I say, have your own rail, and then of course you can put. Now over here, what's interesting is it does have a form of hard kind of I believe it's a previous scar kind of situation over here. Yeah, so this will prevent the dart from dropping off, as well as to increase the accuracy. So even if you don't change the barrel or have a scar yourself, I saw the firing is actually pretty accurate, and of course the dart will not kind of drop off if you were to shake it violently. So that is the implementation itself. Now I do understand from the video that they say that now in the future there will be upgrade parts to kind of swap it out to have a slightly longer barrel, which will also increase the performance itself. Okay, so this is the FPS. I think it's about okay, let's take a look. Okay, it's about average about 40 meter per second. So if you were to convert 40 meter per second to FPS, I'm not too sure what is the actual value. Maybe I can check it now. So okay, let's take a look. Let's just find 40 MPS to FPS to just have a estimate. So it's about 130 FPS if we talk about 40 MPS, right? So 130, not too bad for a small blaster, kind of a sidearm kind of a situation. In fact, I feel that this can be a primary as well, right? So now you are just gonna fire off a few, as you can see. Now next segment is basically talking about how you can dismantle this plastic itself. There are two kind of pin that you need to remove. Okay, so one is of course at this position, and I'll just fast forward a little bit. Okay, once you remove, okay, and then the other one is in front. So these are the only two pins that you require to remove. And once you do that, okay, let's just fast forward. Okay, once it's being removed, you can actually kind of slot out the entire top assembly, which he will do. Okay, once you pull the front pin out, you're gonna spring out a little bit, so be careful. So then you can pull out the entire assembly, which again is a pretty cool feature, right? So the spring is in there as well, right? So top and bottom, pretty elegant design. And now the plunger itself, if you were to observe, okay, whoop, let's take a look. It is an oval shape, right? So it's not your cylinder shape. I think this is a very good design, something that the Datsun, the MK3, right? So it actually fully utilized the volume in a confined space. So I find that yep, good that they implemented that. And of course the internal itself, you can see the place there where I have the catch. Yeah. Okay, let's just forward a little bit. Okay. Okay, so the part below, okay, you can see, oops, this is the part whereby the gear interacts with to move the so-called entire piece, kind of priming. The video suggests that it's actually pretty good constructed, but if I have one thing to worry about is of course this piece over here, because nevertheless it's the one that interacts with the gear. So yeah, so the video does suggest that it's actually well built. So yep, no, we'll wait and see. Okay, so there's more or less yeah, it's talking about the gear itself. Okay, this part whereby it interacts with the gear. Okay, I'm just afraid of this kind of contact point over here. Okay, but anyway, okay, it is what it is. It seems to suggest it's good enough. All right, so continue to talk about some of the feature of how they design the so-called when the magazine is empty, it will remain prime. Okay, so this time around it doesn't require a magnet or anything. It's basically a mechanical design that ties with the magazine itself. So the magazine, there is a place whereby, you know, when you slot in the magazine, if it's empty, it actually push up the catch for the system, and then it will remain prime. Next, this design itself, you can see is slightly different, slightly bigger okay, than what we have seen. So it's an interesting kind of design. Okay, yep, okay, you can see it's actually quite big, and it's like one whole piece. Yeah, so that is something interesting to note. Right, so okay, so this is the inside of the gear itself, and below the gear, if I'm not wrong, is actually the so-called circuit control. Now, I understand from the video that it is actually not a very, not just a very simple kind of drive the gear and then push it back. It actually have the intelligence to detect the spring that you install. That means what is the so-called the strength of the spring. So the first few firing, they are taking care of figuring out what is the strength of the spring, and then they will adjust the movement of the gear, the rotation, how much to kind of rotate, kind of energy to use to kind of make it the most effective, right? So I thought that was fantastic. Okay, so it's just not a simple kind of dumb kind of just retracting and firing off without any consideration. Yeah, okay, so it's just explaining how the entire movement of system works. All right, okay. Again, they also mentioned that the gear, the material used for the gear, they are kind of and the motor itself to power the kind of to turn the gear, they are not chipping on, they are not using cheap components. They actually use a much better quality component for the motors and the gear itself. which is again is a very good kind of indication. So over here you can see that this is the one that interact with this is the magazine. Okay, this is the piece whereby if you have no darts inside, you can see that this particular piece, okay, let's just rewind a little bit. This particular brown piece will be kind of move automatically, be spring up. Okay, that's the one that prevents the so-called the cycle to be completed, and now you can reload your magazine and then just push it down and it will load again. Yep, talking about the gear. Alright, so I think we can skip forward. Yeah, and look at how this thing is being assembled back. Okay, and then yeah, so let's kind of okay, let's see now. Okay, I think he's about to assemble back. Like I said, this video is very long. I chop it up into a much shorter segment. Okay, yeah. By the way, the URL is in the front section. I think I've showed the URL. You can go ahead and type it in your browser, but of course it's in Mandarin. But it'll be interesting to see. Okay, so let's look at the assembly. Okay, I think I'll not kind of forward or anything. Let's just have a quick look at the entire assembly. I think it's good. Okay, so it's kind of easy to kind of take it out, 2 pins, and then you can do your maintenance. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so you just need a slot. Slot it in. I think there's a little bit of jam in my video. Okay, so you just put it in. Now it's a pity that there's only 2 color option right now. I definitely hope that you have a much more kind of less firearm color scheme, but it is what it is. So yeah, just some point to take note of. Yep. All right, so 2 pins, in it goes. Okay, yeah. Okay, so far by far I think this blaster is one of the very nicely designed, very compact, kind of lots of learning point, I would say. Okay, and yeah, and it looks awesome. Now it's just that whether we can obtain it or not. Yeah, but anyway, okay, so it's testing. Okay, everything seems to work fine, and that's the end of the video. Right, so yeah, I'm Tungsten as well. Thanks for watching. Yeah, bye.